Every month, money hits your account and quietly disappears, not because you don't earn enough, but because you were never taught what that paycheck actually is. A 9 to 5 paycheck is not meant to be spent. It's meant to be used. Used correctly, the same paycheck that feels ordinary today can quietly turn into $1 million asset over time. This isn't about working harder or earning more. It's about changing what happens after you get paid. A paycheck is usually treated as a reward for effort. Work happens, money arrives, and the default assumption is that this money now exists to be spent. Bills, comforts, upgrades, and small rewards quickly absorb it. This way of thinking feels normal, but it quietly guarantees that wealth will never form. The critical shift begins when a paycheck stops being seen as spending money and starts being seen as raw capital. Capital has a purpose beyond consumption. It is meant to be protected, deployed, and multiplied. When income is mentally labeled as capital, decisions slow down. Spending becomes intentional instead of automatic. Each dollar is evaluated not by how it feels to spend it today, but by what it could become tomorrow. This single mental reframe changes behavior more than any complex financial strategy ever could. Most people assume they need more income to build wealth. In reality, they need a better relationship with the income they already earn. A paycheck treated casually disappears. A paycheck treated as capital compounds. The difference is not intelligence or opportunity, but mindset. When income is viewed as raw material, it becomes something to shape, not something to burn through. This shift also introduces discipline naturally. Discipline is difficult when money is seen as a reward because rewards invite indulgence. But when money is seen as capital, restraint feels logical rather than restrictive. You are not denying yourself pleasure, you are allocating resources. That distinction matters. Allocation feels purposeful. Deprivation feels painful. Wealth is built through the former, not the latter. Treating income as capital also forces prioritization. You can no longer afford to spend without intention because every decision has an opportunity cost. Money spent today is money that cannot compound. This awareness does not make life smaller. It makes choices clearer. Clear choices lead to consistent behavior, and consistent behavior is the engine of long-term wealth. Another powerful effect of this mindset is reduced emotional spending. Many purchases are not driven by need, but by stress, comparison, or fatigue. When income is framed as capital, emotional spending feels expensive rather than comforting. This pause between impulse and action prevents countless small leaks that silently drain financial progress over time. Capital thinking also changes how people respond to raises and bonuses. Instead of immediately upgrading lifestyle, increases in income are partially captured and redirected. This capture creates surplus. Surplus is the seed of every asset. Without surplus, wealth is impossible. With surplus, even modest income can grow into something meaningful. A paycheck treated as capital encourages system building. Automation becomes attractive. Money is removed from reach before temptation appears. Saving and investing happen first, not last. This reduces reliance on willpower. Willpower is unreliable. Systems are not. Over time, systems quietly outperform motivation. Another benefit of this approach is patience. Capital is expected to grow slowly. There is no urgency for immediate results. This patience protects against impulsive decisions and risky shortcuts. Wealth built patiently is resilient. Wealth built emotionally is fragile. Many people fail to make this shift because it conflicts with cultural norms. Society encourages visible success and immediate enjoyment. Capital thinking prioritizes invisible progress and delayed gratification. This contrast creates discomfort, but discomfort is often the price of progress. Those who tolerate it gain an advantage that compounds over time. When income is treated as raw capital, the focus shifts from how much is earned to how effectively it is used. This is empowering. You may not control your salary immediately, but you control how each paycheck is deployed. Control compounds into confidence, and confidence supports long-term discipline. Over years, this mindset produces a dramatic difference. One person spends income and remains dependent on the next paycheck. Another deploys income and gradually reduces dependence. The actions may look similar month to month, but the outcomes diverge steadily. A paycheck does not become wealth by existing. It becomes wealth by being used correctly. The moment income stops being a reward and starts being treated as capital, the process of building real wealth quietly begins. The order in which money is handled matters far more than the amount of money involved. Most people assume wealth is limited by income, but in reality, it is limited by sequence. When spending comes first and saving is treated as an afterthought, wealth becomes mathematically impossible. Nothing meaningful is ever left over. This pattern repeats month after month, year after year, regardless of how much income increases. The default behavior is simple and destructive. A paycheck arrives, bills are paid, comforts are upgraded, small rewards are justified. Whatever remains is expected to somehow turn into savings or investments. In most cases, nothing remains. The problem is not lack of discipline. The problem is the order itself. Spending first guarantees that saving will always feel optional and inconvenient. Wealth begins when this order is reversed. Saving and investing must happen before lifestyle decisions are made. This reversal feels uncomfortable at first because it forces spending to adapt instead of expand. But this discomfort is exactly what creates progress. When saving happens first, lifestyle naturally adjusts downward or stabilizes. When spending happens first, lifestyle only moves in one direction, upward. This change in order removes negotiation from daily decisions. There is no debate about whether to save this month. The decision has already been made. Money is removed before it can be spent. This single shift eliminates reliance on motivation and replaces it with structure. Structure is far more reliable than willpower. Another reason order matters is psychological. When people try to save what is left, saving feels like sacrifice. When saving happens first, spending becomes the flexible variable. This subtle change completely alters how money feels. Saving stops feeling like deprivation and starts feeling like a commitment to the future. Spending becomes intentional instead of automatic. The correct order also creates visibility. When saving and investing are prioritized, the cost of lifestyle becomes clear. People see exactly how much flexibility they have left. This clarity encourages better choices. Without clarity, spending drifts upward without resistance. Raising income without changing order does nothing. Many people earn more over time yet remain financially fragile. Every raise is absorbed by higher expenses. Progress resets. The same stress remains at a higher income level. This is not bad luck. It is predictable behavior caused by the wrong sequence. Wealth builders understand that income growth is useless without order. They capture a portion of every increase before lifestyle adjusts. This capture compounds. Over time, the gap between income and expenses widens. That gap is the asset. It is the source of investment, resilience, and freedom. The correct order also protects against emotional spending. When money for saving and investing is already removed, impulses have less damage potential. Mistakes become smaller. Small mistakes are survivable. Large mistakes often come from having too much money available to misuse. Another benefit of proper order is reduced stress. When saving happens first, there is confidence that progress is being made regardless of how the month feels. This reduces anxiety and improves long-term consistency. Consistency matters more than perfection. Order also supports patience. When saving and investing are automatic, there is no pressure for immediate results. Progress happens quietly in the background. This allows time to work. Time is the multiplier that turns modest actions into large outcomes. Most people delay this shift because it feels restrictive. In reality, it is liberating. It replaces financial chaos with predictability. Predictability creates control. Control creates confidence. Wealth does not come from earning first and hoping later. It comes from prioritizing the future before indulging the present. When the order changes, everything else follows. Stable income plays a quiet but critical role in protecting judgment, and judgment is the invisible force behind every lasting financial outcome. Most people believe wealth is about intelligence, strategy, or information. In reality, wealth is mostly about behavior under pressure. A 9 to 5 paycheck reduces pressure, and reduced pressure keeps judgment intact. When income is uncertain, the brain shifts into survival mode. Decisions become short term. Fear and excitement take turns controlling behavior. A good month creates overconfidence. Spending increases, risks feel smaller, and discipline weakens. A bad month creates anxiety. Plans are questioned. Saving stops and long term thinking disappears. These emotional swings are not harmless. They compound in the wrong direction. A predictable paycheck dampens these extremes. It creates a baseline of safety that allows logic to stay in control. When you know money is coming in regularly, there is less urgency to act impulsively. Urgency is dangerous in finance. It pushes people towards shortcuts, hype, and reactions instead of thoughtful decisions. Many financial mistakes are not caused by ignorance but by emotional overload. Panic selling, impulse spending, chasing trends, abandoning plans too early, these behaviors come from stress, not lack of knowledge. Stable income lowers stress. Lower stress improves decision quality. Better decisions repeated over time create better outcomes. Another way stable income protects judgment is by reducing the need for constant decision making. When income is volatile, people must constantly reassess priorities. Every expense feels risky. Every investment feels urgent. This constant evaluation drains mental energy. Decision fatigue sets in. When people are tired, they default to poor choices. A salary reduces this fatigue by making income predictable and manageable. Predictable income also allows emotional distance from investments. When living expenses are covered reliably, investments do not need to perform immediately. This distance is powerful. It allows people to stay invested during uncertainty instead of reacting to short-term fluctuations. Staying invested matters far more than timing entries or exits. Fear is one of the most expensive emotions in finance. It causes people to sell at the wrong time, avoid opportunities, and hold excessive cash out of uncertainty. Excitement is equally dangerous. It leads to overconfidence, leverage, and complexity. Stable income acts as a buffer against both. It does not eliminate emotion, but it limits its impact. Stable income also protects against ego. When income spikes unpredictably, people often confuse luck with skill. This misinterpretation leads to risky behavior and lifestyle inflation. A steady paycheck keeps expectations grounded. Grounded expectations encourage humility. Humility prevents costly mistakes. Judgment improves when people are not desperate. Desperation narrows thinking and accelerates bad decisions. A 9 to 5 paycheck reduces desperation. Reduced desperation allows patience. Patience filters out weak opportunities and prevents forced action. Another benefit is clarity. When income is predictable, long-term planning becomes possible. Short-term noise loses power. People focus on process instead of outcomes. Process-driven behavior is resilient. Outcome-driven behavior is fragile. Over time, protected judgment compounds just like money. Fewer emotional mistakes mean more capital stays invested. More time invested means more compounding. The difference may be invisible early on, but over years it becomes decisive. Most people don't lose money because they choose badly once. They lose money because they react badly again and again. A stable paycheck quietly limits those reactions, and by protecting judgment, it protects the future. Lifestyle control is the point where wealth either becomes possible or quietly dies. Income alone does not create wealth. What matters is what remains after lifestyle takes its share. A 9 to 5 paycheck makes this reality unavoidable, because when income is fixed and predictable, every spending decision becomes visible. That visibility is a hidden advantage. When income is uncertain, people justify spending emotionally. Good months invite upgrades. Bad months invite stress, spending, or rationalizations. Over time, expenses drift upward without resistance. A stable paycheck removes those excuses. You know exactly what comes in, which means you can decide clearly and calmly what must go out. Anything beyond that is a choice, not a necessity. Wealth is built in the gap between income and expenses. Without a gap, nothing compounds. No matter how smart the investment strategy is, without surplus, there is no fuel. A 9 to 5 salary makes defending that gap realistic because it allows spending limits to be set in advance rather than negotiated every month. Lifestyle inflation is the most common reason salaried people stay broke. Every raise feels earned. Every bonus feels temporary. Upgrades happen quietly and permanently. Over time, higher income simply supports a more expensive life, not a stronger financial position. The stress remains only at a higher level. A predictable paycheck exposes this pattern clearly. It forces a decision: grow lifestyle or grow freedom. Controlling lifestyle does not mean living poorly. It means living intentionally. Spending aligned with values feels very different from spending driven by comparison or impulse. A stable income supports this alignment by removing fear. When fear of the next paycheck disappears, restraint feels purposeful instead of restrictive. Fixed expenses deserve special attention. Fixed costs reduce flexibility. The more income that is locked into obligations, the fewer options exist when circumstances change. A 9 to 5 salary allows people to design lives with manageable fixed costs. Lower fixed costs increase optionality. Optionality is a form of wealth that doesn't show up on a balance sheet but determines quality of life. Lifestyle control also reduces pressure. When expenses are comfortably below income, decisions feel lighter. Pressure forces people into poor trade-offs. Lower pressure improves judgment. Better judgment compounds into better outcomes. This positive loop is difficult to create without predictable income. Another advantage of controlled lifestyle is resilience. Unexpected events are inevitable. Job changes, health issues, market downturns, none of these are optional. People with surplus absorb shocks calmly. People without surplus panic. Panic leads to mistakes. A salary supports surplus, and surplus supports resilience. Many people assume that higher income will solve their financial problems. In reality, problems scale with income if behavior doesn't change. A 9 to 5 salary limits that illusion. It forces prioritization. Prioritization builds discipline. Discipline builds wealth. Lifestyle control also protects against social pressure. When spending is intentional, outside expectations lose influence. This independence reduces ego-driven decisions. Ego is expensive. Simplicity is efficient. A stable paycheck makes simplicity achievable. The gap between income and lifestyle may feel small early on. That small gap is easy to dismiss. But compounding works on small numbers given enough time. What feels insignificant monthly becomes powerful annually. Those who abandon discipline early never see this effect. Lifestyle control is not about perfection. It is about direction. Small, consistent restraint beats dramatic sacrifice followed by relapse. A salary supports steady restraint by making trade-offs clear and repeatable. Without lifestyle control, income is consumed. With lifestyle control, income becomes leverage. A 9 to 5 paycheck does not limit wealth. It reveals where wealth is actually built. A regular hustle is often celebrated because it looks bold, fast, and ambitious. Sudden income spikes create excitement, confidence, and stories that feel like progress. But excitement is not durability. Wealth is not built by what feels impressive in the moment, but by what survives pressure, boredom, and uncertainty over long periods of time. This is where boring, disciplined systems built on predictable income quietly win. Volatile income produces volatile behavior. During high income periods, confidence rises too quickly. People loosen discipline, increase spending, and take risks they would normally avoid. They assume good outcomes will continue. During low income periods, fear takes over. Plans are questioned, saving stops, investments are sold, and long-term thinking disappears. These swings do not cancel each other out. They compound negatively and destroy consistency. A 9 to 5 paycheck smooths behavior. Smooth behavior produces stable outcomes. When income is predictable, there is less temptation to overextend during good times and less pressure to panic during difficult ones. This emotional balance is one of the most powerful and overlooked advantages in finance. One of the most important principles in wealth building is downside protection. You do not need to win big often. You need to avoid losing badly even once. A single irreversible mistake can erase years of disciplined effort. Predictable income reduces the need to take extreme risks. It allows patience. It allows selectivity. It allows waiting for clarity instead of forcing action just to feel productive. A regular hustle encourages constant movement. When income is uncertain, people feel the need to always be doing something. This leads to frequent strategy changes, complexity, and over-optimization. Each change introduces new risk. Each new risk increases the chance of failure. A stable paycheck allows stillness. Stillness allows observation. Observation improves decision quality. Another hidden cost of irregular income is mental fatigue. Constant uncertainty drains cognitive energy. When energy is low, discipline weakens. Weak discipline leads to emotional decisions. A salary reduces this cognitive load. Fewer urgent decisions are required. Reduced decision fatigue improves consistency, and consistency is what compounding needs to work uninterrupted. Predictable income also builds resilience. When setbacks occur, people with stable systems recover without abandoning the process. They adjust and continue. This ability to continue matters more than any single decision. Wealth favors those who stay in the game. Irregular income increases the chance of being forced out of the game during bad periods. Many people confuse speed with progress. Fast movement creates the illusion of advancement. In reality, speed without control often leads to collapse. Controlled progress may feel slow, but it compounds. Over time, those who move steadily surpass those who sprint and stop. A disciplined salary-based approach rarely looks impressive early on. There are no dramatic milestones, no sudden validation. This lack of feedback discourages many people. But compounding does not announce itself. It reveals itself only after enough time has passed. Those who stay patient are rewarded disproportionately. Irregular hustle also increases ego involvement. Big wins create identity attachment. When identity becomes tied to income, decisions become emotional. Emotional decisions increase risk. A steady paycheck keeps identity separate from outcomes. This separation protects judgment and reduces the chance of catastrophic mistakes. The greatest advantage of boring income is not what it earns, but what it prevents. It prevents panic. It prevents overconfidence. It prevents unnecessary complexity. It prevents constant reaction. By limiting downside and protecting behavior, it allows upside to accumulate naturally. Wealth is not built by dramatic effort repeated occasionally. It is built by disciplined behavior repeated consistently. And over time, boring systems built on predictable income quietly outperform chaos driven by irregular hustle. In the end, the real power of a 9-5 paycheck is not the size of the income, but the behavior it makes possible. Predictable money creates stability. Stability allows discipline. Discipline supports consistency. And consistency is what compounding needs to work quietly over time. While irregular hustle looks exciting, it often creates fragile systems built on emotion, pressure, and ego. A steady paycheck removes much of that pressure. It protects judgment, makes lifestyle control realistic, and limits the kind of mistakes that permanently destroy progress. What looks boring on the surface turns out to be remarkably effective underneath. Wealth is not built by chasing intensity or speed. It is built by repeating simple, disciplined actions long enough for time to do the heavy lifting. When a 9-5 paycheck is treated as capital instead of spending money, it stops disappearing month after month and starts growing into something far more valuable. Not noise, not status, but freedom.